Tonight, it's emerged that the two people who died in a suicide pact on Monday were strangers brought together by the internet.
The bodies of Stephen Lum and Joanne Lee were discovered in a car on an industrial estate in Braintree. The car was filled with poisonous fumes. The police believe the couple met just hours before taking their own lives. Gareth George is in Braintree now.
Well, the Samaritans said today that the internet can be a place to find friendship, but it can also be harmful. And this is a distressing story, and it's a story that ended here in a car park of an industrial estate in Braintree. And I spoke to Joanne Lee's mother earlier today, and she told me that if she had any idea what Joanne was doing, she'd have tried to stop her. This is the car Joanne Lee and Stephen Lum died in after mixing chemicals to produce a fatal gas. They'd even stuck specially designed signs on the windows, warning whoever discovered them not to inhale it.
These substances present a significant danger to emergency services. If you were to open a vehicle that didn't have signage telling you that there were gases inside, it would kill you.
Stephen Lum was a 35-year-old bachelor from Yorkshire. His father said he had no idea Stephen was thinking of ending his life.
It's taking some getting over, you know. I just can't begin to know how I'm going to get my life back on track, you know.
Joanne Lee lived alone in this street in Braintree. Neighbours here said they saw little of Joanne Lee except to say that she did occasionally step outside of her property to smoke a cigarette, and one neighbour described her as looking pale and ill.
It's sad to think she probably had no one to talk to, really. Obviously a lot of people don't seem to have seen her much, and she obviously felt there was no other way. It is sad.
Yes, it does amaze me that they were quite young, they still had a lot of years ahead of them, that they could have done such a thing.
On Monday, firefighters cordoned off the industrial estate in Braintree where the two bodies were found. It's thought Joanne Lee and Stephen Lum met for the first time just hours before they died and had been in contact on the internet. Joanne had posted an internet message which read, "I know you guys don't like Pacts, but I'm desperate. I haven't got the strength or the energy to do this on my own anymore." Today, a single bunch of flowers left by Joanne Lee's sister. The card said, "I'm so sorry you have left us." Joanne Lee's family released a picture of her this evening. It was taken a long time ago when she was a child, and they also said this: Joanne was a shy, gentle, thoughtful and caring daughter, sister and friend. Joanne suffered bouts of low self-esteem and depression and an eating disorder that developed into anorexia nervosa. She was receiving NHS treatment for those conditions right to the end.
Gareth, thank you very much. Well, the Right Reverend Graham James, the Bishop of Norwich, is here with me now. What does this say about society, that two people, complete strangers, find it easier to take their own lives than to talk to people they know?
Well, it's a tragedy, isn't it? And it's a tragedy that comes as a result of people, I think, feeling that they are unloved, whereas from your report it was clear that Joanne was loved by her family, but perhaps didn't realise it.
We all think that we make people feel important around us, but we obviously fail.
I think very often we do, and sometimes this is a society which is rather intimate at a distance, and one of the things I suppose that the internet offers, it offers an extraordinary degree of friendship and access to other people, but it also offers access to those who confirm our feelings if we are suicidal, rather than listening in a much more positive way, which is what the Samaritans or a parish priest or whatever else would do.
10 years ago, when you were enthroned as bishop, this probably couldn't have happened. Would you like to see restrictions on what can go on to the internet?
Well, I think a lot of us recognise that there are things on the internet we wish weren't there, but what I do also recognise is that the countries which seek to restrict freedom of access to the internet restrict freedom of access to all sorts of other information as well. That's a step towards totalitarianism. So I don't think it's the internet that's the problem, it's the way in which we relate to each other. I mean, the thing that I recognise on your story is that Joanne was reaching out to someone else, which is what people who feel suicidal often do. And one of our aims, I think, is to make a society which allows people to be listened to and heard in a very constructive way.
Bishop, thank you very much.
Pregnant women in Luton who have the HIV virus aren't passing it on to their children thanks to pioneering work at their local hospital. The Luton and Dunstable sees more cases of women with HIV than all the other hospitals in this region put together. Nikki Jenkins has had exclusive access to the department.
Beautiful twin boys. The statistics say that if their mum was HIV positive, then the chances are that one of them would be too. There's a 1 in 2 chance of the virus being passed on. Well, Darren and Dylan's mum does have HIV, but these are 2 happy, healthy boys. Just one of the hundreds of families that have been helped by a remarkable midwife at the L&D.
I was always dehydrated all the time when I was pregnant. I couldn't eat, I used to vomit all the time. But with Sue besides me, it was a smooth pregnancy. It was really, but the ups and downs were terrible. But having those boys, it means a lot to me.
HIV is carried in the blood. Antiretroviral drugs can dramatically reduce the amount of virus women like Margaret have in their bloodstreams.
There's lots of people think that baby's blood is mother's blood. Well, it actually isn't. Babies make their own blood from day one. So what they take from mother's blood is what they need to make themselves into a healthy baby. The danger time is actually at delivery because you've got a lot of mixing of blood at delivery.
Most are delivered by caesarean section, but increasingly normal births are possible too, so long as the birth sac is kept intact.
And it's really now so much a part of normal obstetric practice in the department that all of the consultants and all of the trainees are exposed to these cases. And this is where the trainees for the region predominantly get their experience.
Over the past decade, more than 300 babies have been delivered to mothers here who are HIV positive, and not one has been infected. Whereas nationally, between 95 and 98, the number of babies being infected this way doubled.
For mothers like Margaret, improved HIV management means they can raise their families and their life expectancies. Nikki Jenkins, BBC Look East in Luton.
Well, later, a tale of 2 managers. Ian Sampson's dream trip to Liverpool with the Cobblers, and the man rejected by more clubs than anyone else. Council cutbacks claimed another victim today, speed cameras in Norfolk. The County Council has decided it can't pay for them. The Safety Partnership runs 5 mobile and 22 fixed cameras.
Romeo Echo 7-2 watching traffic on the A47 near Acle.
Take a reading and that one indicated 44 miles an hour, so he's doing very nicely.
Funding for these cameras has come from central government, but with the cut in the safety grant, local authorities face having to plug the gap. And with Norfolk County Council having to find its own cuts of £155 million over the next 3 years, they decided the cameras had to go.
We just haven't got the money to do it.
To the outside, this is going to look like open season for people who want to speed.
It may look like that, but the speeding will still be there. The police will still be doing that because that's part of their statutory duty.
So, fixed, mobile and average speed cameras all go. Reaction in Norwich this afternoon was mixed.
I think it's a bad idea because, especially where I live, people really do speed.
Rip-off, aren't they?
They're a good thing, actually. I believe that they save life.
You know as well as I do. As soon as people slow down, they go 30 mile an hour, and as soon as they get the other side, they speed up again, don't they?
In Essex, the council isn't planning to make a decision about safety cameras in the near future. While in Suffolk, there is concern about the Norfolk decision. But here, they say cutting cameras is financial madness.
Well, the government estimate that it costs approximately £1.8 million for every road death. And that would keep the Safety Camera Partnership running for well over 1 year.
Back in Norfolk, today's decision still has to be ratified by the Cabinet, but 30 jobs at the Safety Partnership are now likely to go. Mike Liggins, BBC Look East, Norfolk.
Police investigating the death of a man in Great Yarmouth now believe he was murdered by